Nestled between the mountains and the coast, beautiful Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland. Belfast was founded on the 17th century and prospered in the Industrial Age, becoming famous for its linens and shipyards. More recently, Belfast has rebounded from decades of political strife, and this graceful city of Victorian and Edwardian architecture now also boasts sparkling new boutiques, a vibrant waterfront, and a lively pub scene. Our tour began with a drive to City Hall, passing the revitalized waterfront district and many other landmarks along the way. This 10-meter salmon was commissioned in 1999 to celebrate the regeneration of the River Lagan and the historic importance of the site, confluence of the River Lagan and Farset, which Belfast is named after. The outer skin is a cladding of ceramic tiles decorated with texts and images relating to the history of Belfast. The Odyssey Arena is a large sports and entertainment center situated in Titanic Quarter and the waterfront. It is one of the top 6 major concert venues in the world. Titanic Quarter is one of the world's largest urban waterfront regeneration. Titanic Belfast is a visitor attraction and a monument to Belfast's maritime heritage on the site of the former Harland and Wolff shipyard in the city's Titanic Quarter. It tells the stories of all ill-fated RMS Titanic, which sank on her maiden voyage in 1912, and her sister ships RMS Olympic and HMHS Britannic. The building contains more than 12,000 square meters of floor space, most of which is occupied by a series of galleries, plus private function rooms and community facilities. From the Titanic Museum's esplanade, we could see the Royal Princess. The world's most famous liner was built here in Belfast. She sat here in this very dry dock on the eve of her first and last voyage in April of 1912. Titanic is remembered for the dramatic story of her sinking, but in 1912 she was an icon for all that was great about the 20th century. She was the most innovative, the most luxurious, the most awe-inspiring thing ever created by the hand of man. Here in the shipyard where she came to life, you can still see the remnants of engineering brilliance that brought Titanic into being. Titanic's dry dock is the physical reminder of a bygone age in which the dreams of men soared to new heights. Inside the pump house, the engineering achievement of the Edwardian age is almost perfectly preserved. These two twin ship-building gantry cranes, named after the biblical figures Samson and Goliath, dominate the Belfast skyline and are landmark structures of the city. Nomadic was commissioned by the White Star Line in 1910 to tender for their new ocean liners RMS Olympic and RMS Titanic, which were too large to dock in Cherbourg Harbor. She and her running mate Traffic ferried passengers, their baggage, mail and ship supplies to and from large ocean liners moored offshore. The Belfast Waterfront Hall was the original signature development in the new face of Belfast. The bronze dome of its stunning building will eventually turn green and reflect the dome of City Hall. The Belfast Barge is the city's first floating visitor attraction. Visitors can enjoy the Maritime and Industrial Heritage exhibition. On the barge's upper deck, visitors will find the cafe, which has a beautiful view overlooking the River Lagan. The Thanksgiving statue is a 300,000 sterling pound metal sculpture by Andy Scott, 19.5 meters high, constructed in 2007 in Thanksgiving Square. In view is the massive glass dome measuring 35 meters in diameter, a key element of the Victoria Square shopping centre. On the right, the former St. Joseph Roman Catholic Church. Sinclair Siemens Presbyterian Church. Belfast Harbour Commissioner's Office Building. Built between 1890 and 1896, St. George's Market is Belfast's last surviving Victorian covered market. The 10 Square Hotel. The Grand Opera House is Northern Ireland's premier theatre. The magnificent auditorium is probably the best surviving example in the United Kingdom of the Oriental style applied to theatre architecture. Dating from 1895, it is today one of the city's true landmarks. Belfast City Hall opened its doors in 1906, at the time of unprecedented prosperity and industrial might for the city. The magnificent building is a lasting landmark to Belfast's success and civic pride. We were welcomed through the marble-lined vestibule into the main entrance hall. The stunning entrance hall, grand staircase and landings use 4 types of marble, 3 from Italy and 1 from Greece. The Grand Staircase. Grand is an understatement for this magnificent staircase made from Carrara, Pavanaso and Brescia marbles. The large stained glass windows record important municipal events, from the granting of the original charter by King James I in 1613 to the redefining of Belfast as a county borough in 1899. The rotunda is adorned with an elaborate colonnade in Greek Sipilano marble. Rising from this landing are the 4 main arches which support the dome. The center of the rotunda is open, creating a circular viewing gallery. The gallery looks down upon the floor centerpiece of the entrance hall and provides an uninterrupted view from ground level to the top of the dome. A highlight is the mural by the famous Belfast artist John Luke, showing Belfast's Royal Charter of 1613, painted in 1950. The principal dome rises to a height of approximately 53 meters.
£3,000 each. That's how much they are. It's because of the cut material and the hand stitching that makes them so expensive.
The 51 members of the Belfast City Council sit in the council chamber on the first working day of each month. Similar to the House of Commons, Westminster, the seating faces inward to a central gangway which leads to a dais at the top of the chamber. The elaborately hand-carved and pierced oak screen on the dais forms an impressive backdrop for the Lord Mayor's chair, which is flanked by those of the Deputy Lord Mayor and Chief Executive. Throughout the building there are many colorful windows depicting the historical past, World War memorials, centenary of City Hall, famine window, Dockers Strike 1907, Belfast coat of arms, among others. The reception hall is the smallest of the three function rooms. The Great Hall. Looking at this magnificent room, it's hard to believe the Great Hall was almost totally destroyed by a German air raid on the night of 4th May 1941. By 1952, the hall had been rebuilt, and over the years it has been restored to its former glory. Then we used the secondary staircase to leave the building, and here are some pictures of it showing the monument erected to the memory of the officers, non-commissioned officers and men of the 14th Battalion who fell in the Great War 1914-1918. The City Hall, built in Baroque style, stands in the center of the city. Its dome has been part of the skyline since 1906. The exterior is in Portland stone. Queen Victoria stands at the front, and the grounds are dotted with many more statues and monuments. This 6-foot-high memorial was erected in 1999 to commemorate James McGuinness, the only Northern Irish recipient of the Victoria Cross during World War II. Titanic Memorial Garden is a permanent tribute to over 1,500 passengers and crew who died after the ship struck an iceberg and sank in the North Atlantic during its maiden voyage in April 1912. View of the imposing City Hall building from Royal Avenue. Erected as the Provincial Bank of Ireland, this handsome building now houses a Tesco supermarket. The Belfast entries are a series of historical narrow alleyways in the city centre of Belfast, mostly in the vicinity of High Street and Ann Street. The entries are described as the streets where Belfast began and developed into the city it is today. Dating back to at least 1630, these entries are the oldest parts of Belfast city. Our local tour guide, a very knowledgeable and charming chap.
Also starting that factory
Until a recent renovation corrected its list, the Albert Memorial Clock was Belfast's answer to Pisa's Leaning Tower. The Albert Memorial Clock is a clock tower situated at Queen's Square. It was completed in 1869 and is one of the best-known landmarks of Belfast. Built on land reclaimed from the River Lagan, the Albert Clock features a statue of Prince Albert, as well as ornately carved crowned lions and floral decorations. This beautiful building, built in 1890, is one of only a few to escape demolition during the Belfast Blitz in 1941. Apparently, this was due to the fact that its front wall, floors, chimneys, and roof were constructed using concrete. The parish church of St. George. The Customs House is an imposing Victorian building made possible and necessary as Belfast became one of the great industrial and trading centres of the Victorian United Kingdom. In the 19th century and into the 20th, the steps of the Customs House were the Speaker's Corner of Belfast, where orators exhorted the crowds, enjoying the open space of the square. Across from the Customs House Square we can see McHugh's Pub and Restaurant, one of the city's best-known pubs and one of the oldest surviving buildings in Belfast, renovated and extended. The expansion included a brand new section, but the existing building retains much of its original features, including the massive 18th century oak beams. McHugh's has become more popular in recent years, benefiting from the redevelopment of the surrounding Queen's Square, Customs House Square, and the Albert Memorial Clock.
Much obliged. Thank you very much. You're welcome. How you doing, sir? The guide recommended Old Harp.
Here I had the opportunity to enjoy a pint of Guinness and Ove and Irish coffee. St. Patrick's Catholic Church, completed in 1877, the imposing church you see today replaced an earlier, more modest building and was clearly intended to demonstrate the growing influence and numbers of Catholics in late 19th century Belfast. This handsome building houses the Belfast Telegraph newspaper offices. The first edition was published as the Belfast Evening Telegraph on 1 September 1870 at a cost of half a penny and ran 2 4-pages covering the Franco-Prussian War and local news. The Belfast Central Library opened in 1888 and it was one of the first major public library buildings in Ireland. The University of Ulster Belfast campus on York Street is part of Belfast's vibrant Cathedral Quarter, the up-and-coming cultural hotspot. Just under the dominating presence of the Ulster University and St. Anne's Cathedral is Cathedral Gardens. In the center are three large maritime buoys. They represent the successful days gone by when Belfast had a traditional seaport and shipbuilding city. Impressive view of the North Transept containing what is considered to be the largest Celtic cross in Ireland, and above that the Spire of Hope, rising 250 feet above street level. Designed by architect Sir Thomas Drew and began in 1898, St. Anne's Cathedral is the main church of the Anglican Church of Ireland. It was built in neo-Romanesque style and has three west doors. The central west door tympanum depicts the triumph of peace and righteousness by an enthroned Christ surrounded by saints. The nave flanked by arches in Romanesque design. A look at the nave from the southeast corner. The Chapel of the Holy Spirit was consecrated in 1932. This coincided with the 1500th anniversary of the coming to Ireland of its patron saint Patrick, represented by a two-part mosaic over the entrance to the chapel. The Annunciation of the Virgin Mary on the left and the Baptism of Jesus on the right. The baptismal chapel features an exquisite mosaic ceiling that symbolizes creation. The font was dedicated in 1928. Writers' Square, immediately opposite the cathedral, celebrates Belfast's literary past with quotations from famous local writers carved in the stone underfoot. A common sight around Belfast, the Victorian red brick buildings now coexisting side by side with modern architecture, could be a sign of the benefits of peace that is now a reality. Lower Garfield Street is Belfast's only remaining curved shopping street. Castle Court is Northern Ireland's third largest shopping centre. It was bombed 5 times during its construction, 4 times after it opened, and suffered incendiary bomb attack. Dan George's Spirit of Belfast, 4 interlocking steel beams, is a piece of public art in Arthur Square. After our Belfast city tour, we went back to the Royal Princess, just in time for the folkloric show. Then it was time to say goodbye to Belfast, the home of the unsinkable superstructure that was built at Harland and Wolff, Belfast's shipyard, over a period of 2 years, from March 1909 until its launch on May 1911. Later that evening we got to enjoy the Princess Watercolor Fantasy Show.